Oh my gosh, I can't stand when the headlines are all this wrong. I ask myself, are they really this dumb? Or do they just like to misinform because it makes a better story? Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. We've got to address a game-breaking bug, and I'm sure you can guess what game it's for. Just think about it for a minute. New game-breaking bug crashes the game. Which game from Nintendo would you expect to have this? And then this big debacle about Nintendo Switch and how long Nintendo is committed to make games for the current system. Because what's being reported, it just ain't true. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. And if you're not, I just gave you some positivity. Now you have the strength, the energy, and the hope to go forward and make this day a great one. But it's not a great one if you got to the end of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's DLC with the latest patch, because it's causing a complete combustion. The game is crashing and you're unable to continue unless you know the workaround. Now, this is in the final battle of the first DLC, the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, the Teal Mask, the end of the DLC. There's no spoilers here though, so don't worry. I'm not going to say who you fight or anything like that. Basically though, the way the bug works is if you highlight your 4th, 5th, or 6th Pokemon, it just crashes. This is not like a very specific situation in my opinion. You do need to have either Koraidon or Miraidon in your Pokedex, but most people that play the DLC will. And then in the final battle, if you highlight 4, 5, or 6 on your team, crash. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I don't know how this keeps happening. I understand that bugs are a real thing. Bugs happen. But I feel like the Pokemon team, no offense, I love the latest game. Scarlet and Violet, I think, is great at its core. But this just cannot continue. We cannot have graphical glitches. We cannot have performance hitches. We cannot have game-crashing bugs. We cannot have hard stops, freeze. Whoa! This company makes billions of dollars, all in all. Get some more testers. Pay some more money. Delay your freaking game. I don't know. But this, to me, just sucks, and I don't know how we're still having problems all this time later. I don't get it. I don't get it. They just sold us a big DLC bundle, and it crashes the game. It's beyond me, but I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus instead on Furukawa's interview with Nikkei. Now, this is a popular Asian publication, and the headline that's being spread all around is Nintendo making first-party games till 2025 for the current Switch. You know, this one. You're getting new games for your Switch till 2025. You don't have to upgrade because Nintendo is committing to making games until March 31st, 2025. But that's not true. It's not true. I feel like anytime we get these reports, do people read them? Do people logic it out in their heads? I don't think that they do. I really have a hard time believing that this many people misunderstand things this hardcore. I feel like it's an intentional misunderstanding to make a better headline. Remember a while back when there was that thing about Nintendo, Furukawa, he said no new hardware? He didn't say that. He just said no new hardware is being taken into account with our forecast. So when they're forecasting X number of Switch systems, it doesn't take into account new hardware. Not that there is or isn't new hardware, but that's beside the point. It just was completely misrepresented as Furukawa says no new hardware. It's not what he said. And he also, likewise, didn't say Nintendo Switch games till 2025. What he actually said is that the company is, quote, still working on software for the Switch for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2025. Do you know what that really means? Do you know that you've already seen the games he's talking about? At least some of them. Now, let me set this up for you and tell you that Nintendo may make Switch games for many years. PlayStation 4 and Xbox One got a lot of releases well into the life cycle of PS5 and the series consoles. We do not know how the Switch 2 will take shape, and that will ultimately determine a lot of how long the Switch 1 continues for. Will Switch 1 games work on Switch 2? Will Switch 2 games work on Switch 1? Will all first-party games be exclusive to Switch 2, but third-party games go back and forth? Will all third-party games be exclusive to Switch 2, but first-party games can be played across? Just weaker graphics on Switch 1, better graphics on Switch 2. We have no idea. Will it only be some games? Will it only be downloadable? We have no clue. and how they decide to handle the transition of backwards compatibility, forwards compatibility, and how hard of a line in the sand they're going to draw for Switch 2 determines how long Switch 1 goes on. If everything works from Switch 1 to Switch 2, boom, we might have that for 5 years. But if there's a hard stop, if every Switch 2 game you buy only works on that Switch 2, yes, the clock is ticking. But yes, we will still get games. And we might get games into 2025 or 2026, honestly, but that's not what Furukawa said. What he said is that they are still working on software for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2025. And when does that fiscal year start? April 2024. The fiscal year that he's referring to, the fiscal year that they're going to continue supporting the Switch into, guaranteed, begins in April of next year. It begins in 6 months. We already know some of the games coming out, right? We already know some of the games coming out. We already know that Luigi's Mansion 2 HD and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door are both coming out in the fiscal year that Furukawa is referring to. So Nintendo, in theory, could announce literally nothing else than what we know today, and Furukawa would be telling doggone 100% truth. He would be speaking 100% honestly and with cemented factual security that Nintendo is still working on software for the Switch for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2025. Yet people want to hyperbolize this and take this out of context and say, oh my gosh, Switch is getting games for at least 2 more years. And again, the Switch very well may. But can we please read this guy's comments correctly for once? Could we please say what they're actually stating here? Could we not read things and make up our own story and logic? Could we just follow left or right the sentence that's on the screen? Is it that hard? Because apparently it is. Everything we see is that Nintendo is committing to 2025. Does this put the Switch 2 in danger of not releasing next year? Oh, they're going to continue to support it. Don't worry, you don't have to upgrade your system. Don't worry, you don't have to sell your Switch. Don't worry, you don't even have to buy. Like, I've seen all of these things in headlines and bylines, and none of them are accurate. You may choose to keep your Switch. You may choose to upgrade. That's up to you. But it sure isn't because of this comment from Furukawa. Now, let's be real. Nintendo will most assuredly have Switch games through at least next year. I bet they'll have Switch games through 2025, at least in some capacity. Nintendo is no stranger to the longevity effect of successful consoles. They released new games for Wii for years and years and years. In fact, we see launch titles cross over because that just works dang well, right? We see, oh, Twilight Princess is going to be on GameCube and Wii. Oh, Breath of the Wild is going to be on Wii U and Switch. There will be games that work on both. It applied to PlayStation 5, it applied to Xbox Series X and S, it will apply to Switch. Okay? How many? How far does it go? I don't know, but you're pretty much guaranteed Just Dance. You're pretty much guaranteed to get your FIFA or EA Sports FC. You might get some Nintendo stuff. If I had to bet, I think based on where we're heading, based on how long this generation has ran, Nintendo is more inclined to keep their first-party stuff exclusive to Switch 2 and just release third-party type software on Switch 1. But that's why it's important to know that Furukawa has already fulfilled Nintendo's commitment to releasing software for the Switch for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2025. Luigi's Mansion and Paper Mario fulfilled that obligation. So after that, they're off the hook. Will they still release Switch 1 games throughout 2024? You bet they will. Could they release a few Switch 1 games in 2025? Quite possibly. A lot of it, like I said, depends on can they carry over? Can you buy one cart that can play on both systems? If you buy the Switch 2 version, can it also play on Switch 1? If you buy the Switch 1 version, is there an upgrade path? All that stuff is TBD. We do not know. But it makes sense that Nintendo will support the Switch for a while. It's just not because of what Furukawa said. And there's no guarantee, be very clear, there's no guarantee that after Luigi's Mansion 2 HD and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, that there will be another first-party Nintendo Switch game. There's no guarantee. Like, I can tell you that 99% there will be. We sure better get Metroid Prime 4 on the Switch or cross-gen because people have been waiting for that game since the inception of this system. But Nintendo is not promising that. Nintendo is promising games until April. And we know that they have games announced until April. I just really had to clear that up. I hate seeing this convoluted. And as we get into next year, right? As we get into Switch 2 discussions, as we get into backwards compatibility, as we get into forwards compatibility, upgrade paths, cost, price, cartridges, all this stuff, it's going to be so important to be clear about things. So it's really important to me that I be a source of clarity and information for you, since so many others just want to make this, I don't know, they read the headline, they don't even research it. They read the headline and they just regurgitate. They're not paying attention. They're not using simple logic. They're not even thinking or Googling what a fiscal year is. It drives me kind of crazy, but that's why I got to make these videos. And I do think that we're in a great place for Switch. I've said it before. Switch 2, I think, is going to be even brighter. We've got a nice lineup for the next 6 months. Switch 2, let's start. Let's start so we can start getting this stuff out. We can start making facts known. We can start really being established and anticipate what's going to happen. Because everyone's going to want to know, do I need to upgrade? Should I upgrade? When do I upgrade? That all is going to be part of the discussion, and I will try my best to give you the utmost purest coverage on that I can possibly give you. In the meantime, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the show. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Sorry if your Pokemon crashed, and yeah, Switch may or may not get games beyond next April, not 2025. Until next time, thanks again for watching. SwitchForce out.